Hello, and welcome to episode 52 of Expertise is Overrated, the podcast that takes the time to answer the questions you didn't know you didn't want the answers to. I'm Vib.
And I'm Sean, and neither of us has any clue what we're talking about.
So today's a very special episode.
I'm really excited.
Well, you've thrown me off. I mean, I had to record the intro sentence twice, because just before we started, you said, "Oh, I'm standing up."
Yeah.
And it shocked me to my core.
Well, I think my full quote is, "I'm standing up because I do advocacy better when standing," and your reaction was, shit.
Yeah, shit, I've forgotten to speak English already. The last time I forgot to speak English was on the show.
On the same topic.
Was on the same topic. Yes, we are here. We are at the trial of John Marcone.
That's such a good episode title.
I know, it's great, isn't it? I think this might well be a series, don't you think? People love the idea.
I think it's a good idea. The only other one I can think of, you have the trial of John Marcone, or you have the people versus John Marcone.
But
I think the trial is better. I think the trial
is better. Yeah,
it's going to be good.
The trial is better.
It's going to be good.
Let us know if there's anyone. Well, depends how this episode goes. We're both very nervous about this one. I feel. I don't know why.
Yeah.
We've put it off a lot.
We've put it off a lot. We've recorded about 3 episodes rather than recording this one, and I think we've set ourselves a really lofty goal, while at the same time in no way defining what that goal actually is.
So that's going to be part of the problem, which hopefully will be part of the fun, is that we don't actually really know how we've both thought about this.
So yeah, that's interesting. We were talking before we started about sort of debate styles and stuff like that, and I've been thinking of it in sort of British parliamentary style debate, because that's what I did at school. But you
hasn't even crossed my mind. Yeah,
you then turned around and went, "What? No!" But because
genuinely, that never once crossed my mind that this was going to be a parliamentary debate.
It's not in terms of address or anything like that, but just in the way sort of you get given a motion, and then it's for the proposition side to frame the motion and so frame the debate. That's sort of how I've been thinking about it. But that
makes a lot of sense. I'm just picturing Suits, where I'm going to Harvey Specter and win.
You're going to Harvey Specter and win to Harvey Specter, the verb.
Yeah, that's exactly. Oh, get ready for a lot of made up bullshit in this episode. Going to Harvey Specter and win. So we should get to it quickly. But just I guess by way of preamble, we're going to try and enter into the spirit, I think, and so pretend that this is an actual court case. So we will be addressing arguments to a jury, which I guess is just the listeners. Is that right? I suppose so.
I haven't really written anything that addresses the jury, so I'm going to need to do that on the fly.
That was your mistake, wasn't it?
That was indeed my mistake. I don't know if there's anything else.
I think the prosecution is already in trouble.
Prosecution started in trouble because I don't know what crime I'm accusing him of.
So, yeah, if you laugh at the caveat. So one thing obviously is that I'm in no way a trained lawyer.
And I'm not a trained advocate.
You're a professional barrister, so...
I am not a trained advocate. I don't stand up in court. So this is not as you said earlier, lawyers are lawyers. This is not as new to me as it is to Vib, but fundamentally, we're both here to just have a bit of fun.
We're both here to have a bit of fun, yeah.
There will be no references to case law or authority or anything like that, because we'd be just making it up. And obviously,
I'm not saying that I won't be making a lot of shit up. But anyway, no. if you're here completely by accident, first of all, welcome.
Yeah,
secondly, it makes a lot of sense for you to go and listen to episode 48, which is our first episode where we talked about John Marcone from the Dresden Files.
Yes.
And it got very heated because it turns out that I'm morally bankrupt and Sean is naive. And so this is why we're here again.
That's a pretty good summary, actually. That's sort of it.
That is sort of it. So we're back for round 2, where I think you are going to accuse John Marcone of something, and I'm going to defend him from something.
Okay,
what could go wrong?
What could go wrong? I guess. Should we just dive into it?
Let's see how it goes.
All right.
I mean, all rise, I suppose, right?
Oh dear.
Oh, did not tell you, I'm the judge too.
Every time I go I'm trying to give myself a beat of silence, and you keep filling it with bullshit.
I'm the judge. I'm also the jury.
You're the judge and the jury. Oh dear.
And the executioner. Anyway, I'll give you the floor.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your... Wait, no, wrong speech. John Marcone. A name that raises more questions than answers. And a name that splits. A name that divides. What is John Marcone? Is he a gentleman, as his epithet would have us believe? Is he a saviour? A hero? A good man? No, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, he is none of these things. John Marcone is a monster, a wolf in sheep's clothing, not a diamond in the rough, but the bad apple that spoils the pot. And over the course of however long is left in this podcast episode, I will prove this. I will prove that not only is John Marcone the greatest of the villains of the Dresden Files, I will go further, although that is the core assertion we're here today to prove. I will show that John Marcone is the cautionary tale at the heart of the series. He isn't Harry's alter ego, or his antagonist, or his agonist, whatever an agonist is. He is his nemesis, the cancer at the heart of Chicago. Now my friend will attempt to confuse and befuddle with clever turns of phrase or words that he's made up. But make no mistake, John Marcone is the very worst of humanity, and we should not be so quick to forgive his sins. Thank you. That's my opening.
I am shocked and disappointed. I was about to hit you with my very first quote, which is going to be Shakespeare's brevity is the soul of wit. Shakespeare it gets credited to multiple people. But you actually kept it quite brief. I'm impressed. Wow. You've thrown me.
I am. My plan is to be pithy insofar as it's possible for me to be pithy. That is only my introduction.
This is also definitely how trials work, right? As in when the opening statement from the prosecution is done, we sort of riff on it a little bit. And
there's a bit of back and forth. Sometimes the judge banters a little bit.
Pretend I've stood up. I stood up and slow clapped you there.
That's often considered a step too far, but I like the image.
Well, what's great is that sort of halfway through that, I was like, maybe I should take notes on what he actually said, and so I tried to, but I've forgotten a lot. So. Anyway, we'll come back to that when we need to.
That's only the introduction. Actually, it probably makes sense to explain a little bit of the structure that we're going to put in place after my opening statement. So, just very quickly, we'll each get a brief opening statement, followed by a chance to make our cases, and a chance to rebut each other's cases before a brief closing statement, which I really should have written in advance, but never mind.
Yeah.
With that opening statement out of the way, I yield the floor to you.
Well, thank you very much. I am not made of stone, but I have found it is generally best to behave as if I am. The words of a mortal man trying his best in a world filled with supernatural dangers. The words of a man trying his very best to protect humanity. The words of a man whose character is beyond reproach. John Marcone is a just man, of strong morals and impeccable fashion sense, who is living the American dream. He believes his beliefs to be of such quality that he will not bow down to insufficiently strong evidence to the contrary. That said, he is not unreasonable, often willing to put himself in danger to protect others for the greater good. In short, it is not unfair to say he's a Byronic hero. This code of conduct is especially apparent when our most valued, precious citizens, the children of Chicago, are in any way involved. Even as a captive, at a point of imminent death, he ensured Miss Ivy Archive was escorted to safety before he himself was. Now, regardless of his motivations, John Marcone has been known to support the people of Chicago, providing protection from such supernatural threats as the Fomor, bankrolling the Brighter Future Society, and galvanizing the city in defense against Titan Ethniu. He treats his staff with respect and provides more than fair wages, health insurance, and other benefits. He is an honourable man who, once his word is given, can be entirely trusted to follow through on any agreement made. On top of that, he does it with a sense of courtesy, honour, and grace that is seldom seen in modern times. Most importantly, may it please the court, can it be proved that Gentleman John Marcone, though he has been a major character in over half the Dresden Files books, he is the villain in none. As such, the defense sees this as a flagrant attempt to undermine the stability of the mortal world in Chicago. Were we as cynical as the prosecution, we would argue this is a result of witchcraft by a certain Harry Dresden seeking to further establish his own power here, yet finding himself incapable of doing so on merit alone. It is clear he has bewitched my poor opposite number into making unverifiable, wild, and simply untrue claims about a man to whom we owe so much. The defense seeks that the judge throw out this case to prevent what is clearly a kangaroo court.
So your case is that he's polite?
Yes.
Is that it? As far as I can tell from the notes that I did take, I've basically written down polite.
I mean, yeah. If people are half as polite as John Marcone, the world would be a better place.
No, that I don't disagree with. But there's a lot that I take issue with, but I'm not allowed to argue with your opening statement, sadly. Which is interesting because there's no space for it in my speech. No, I think I would like to challenge just a lot of this. I will challenge in my own case, and that's quite good. I think we do have quite a lot of overlap. I'd just like to highlight, for the benefit of the court, that the staff to which you refer are in fact prostitutes. Is that correct?
I'm not a witness. I can't answer that one way or another.
That's a rule of procedure with which I was not familiar. Okay, I'm just going to leave that one hanging.
It's gonna be a great little game.
If I may, like the vaunted triumvirate of ancient Rome, my case rests on a solid foundation of 3 core arguments. In making my case, I will challenge and disprove the assertion that is made frequently that John Marcone is little more than the mirror image of Harry Dresden, our titular hero. I will challenge and disprove the assertion that notwithstanding the misery he causes, we should consider John Marcone as the lesser of 2 evils, some defender of Chicago. And, having done both of these things, I will instead show that John Marcone exists to exemplify the very worst traits of humanity in the Dresden Files. John Marcone needs no fallen angel whispering temptations on his shoulder. He has already embraced the darkness. He's become one with its evils long before taking up his coin and joining the ranks of the Knights of the Blackened Denarius. So, turning to my first, John Marcone as the Dark Harry. Now, this is an assertion that we hear made frequently. John Marcone is little more than a version of Harry Dresden who recognises that everyone has a price, that his actions are nothing more than efficient steps taken towards a goal. And that may be true. I don't know that it's provably true or provably false. We're never inside his head. But what I know is provably true.
Objection. We are in a book that you clearly haven't read. You call yourself the prosecution.
The short stories are not canon and are not relevant to my case.
Don't disagree. Of course they're canon.
Well, they may be canon, they're not relevant to my case because I don't remember reading them.
Yeah, but I still object to the point you made that we're never in his head. And I think that objection is sustained.
So seldom are we in John Marcone's head.
Good save.
That's completely thrown me. What was that?
Yes! This is good because I don't actually have anything written down over my opening, over and above my opening statement. So you're already doing it with me.
It's funny. I think as the defense, you essentially get to pick apart my arguments.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for. Yeah. We've done it, listeners.
So seldom are we in John
Fake
Marcone's
hypo
head.
incoming in 1,
2. Well, no, actually, reminds me I should check. John Marcone. Jesus Christ, John Marcone. What we do know about John Marcone is clear. The goals of his actions are wildly disconnected from those of Harry Dresden. Harry Dresden seeks to fulfill all of the roles that my friend has already alluded to, that he seeks to lay at the feet of John Marcone, the defender of Chicago. John Marcone does not exist to be defender of Chicago. John Marcone does not take a seat at the table of the Unseelie Accords to defend Chicago. He seeks, as all criminals do, to further his own interests, no more and no less. And make no mistake, the mere fact that he wears crisp suits and speaks politely does not prevent him from being a criminal.
Hello. Are you alive?
I am alive. I'm sad at the state that we're in. I'm turning to the question of whether or not John Marcone is the greater or the lesser evil. And I'm saddened by the fact that we're constantly asked to choose between two evils. Why? Why is that the choice that is before us? Why must we put up with this baser version of humanity? This version that exists to prey on the suffering and misery of others simply because they're better than the alternative. Why is the alternative not better? Why are we not offered a better alternative? Why does John Marcone not seek to be the better alternative? That's the fundamental premise of my argument that runs through the whole thing. That John Marcone doesn't take actions because they are going to lead to a better outcome. At every juncture, at every opportunity, he takes the easy path. And for a man of his talents, the easy path is to turn to crime. And yes, the streets of Chicago appear cleaner than they did when mafia families were warring. That's true. I don't dispute that. But I dispute that that means that John Marcone is better. He's just a more efficient form of criminal. Just a more efficient form of drug dealer. Why do we look at that and go, oh yes, thank you very much, doff our caps to the polite man in the suit and walk on? We should be abhorrent. We should be appalled, forgive me, at his behaviour. I don't see how one can look at John Marcone and think of him as the lesser of two evils. But even if you do think that he is somehow a better alternative, him in power is a better alternative, we should be ashamed of ourselves for wanting that, for not wanting more, for settling for the little that he offers us.
Are you at some point going to make a case here? Or are you just going to keep being all magniloquent?
I feel like this is my case, fundamentally. My case is that my case is that he's awful. My case is that he exists to shame us.
Sorry, maybe I'm confused here because, I work in the science world and maybe this isn't a thing in the legal world, but you have heard of evidence, right? Is that like a thing?
I've heard of it, but I tend as often as possible to not use it.
Just so long as we're on the same page. Fine.
In terms of evidence, we can look at his actions in the early series. We look at his actions before he becomes entirely aware of the existence of the supernatural. Right, so this is a man who's constantly power building. He's seeking to do great harm to his business rival in Full Moon, Harley McFinn. He lays a trap for Harley McFinn with the full intention of killing him because he's in Marcone's way. because it's easier than dealing with him. This is the sort of man that you want us to consider the savior of Chicago, the sort of man who's trying his best. If he's trying his best is abhorrent. And if he's not trying his best, we should demand of him his best. I'm struggling slightly with this for the simple reason that I'm so surprised that this is a contentious point. I turn to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury and implore them to consider John Marcone, the John Marcone that we all know exists, the man that we all know sits at the top of Chicago's crime family pile. Look at the ruin of human detritus that he's left in his wake. Sorry, I'm gesticulating wildly, which is really,
we can hear, yeah,
really emphatic. And
the jury's not impressed, FYI.
Oh, that's a shame. That's a real shame.
They're all sort of looking at their phones, which they totally have in this court.
Yeah, they should. You should really have handed those in to.
Yeah, as an oversight on the bailiff's part. But you're the bailiff, so.
Oh, of course I am. If we want to consider his actions, we can look further at his taking up of a coin. Right, at the point of his receiving a coin, we know that Marcone has already been held prisoner by the Knights of the Blackened Denarius, held prisoner by Anduriel and Nicodemus Archleon, and he's looked at them, their treatment of Ivy, treatment of the archive, which you've already alluded to, my friend has already alluded to, and yet he looks at these people, these monsters, and he thinks, yes, that's what I want. That team, I want to be on that team. I want to join them. I think their way of doing things is correct. Oh, I'm not sure about the torture of children, but, there's still work to be done there. That's a morally bankrupt choice. That's taking up the easiest path to help himself. These are the things that make him the cautionary tale. These are the things that make him the greatest of the Dresden Files villains. Because at every juncture he is making choices. Now, my friend has said that although Mr. Marcone appears in more than a half of the Dresden Files books, he's not the villain of any of them. I don't think that that's true. I think that the point that my friend is missing, and perhaps this is due to his fixation on science and evidence rather than themes. Marcone is the villain of all of them. Marcone is the villain of all of them. The fact that he's not defeated at the end of any of the books, the fact that he's not directly pulling the strings as Bianca is, or directly kidnapping Thomas as Shagnasty is, or directly blowing up Chicago as Ethne is, doesn't stop him from being the villain. Doesn't stop him from being the one that we should be watching, the one that we should be scared of. These others are smokescreens for the very real, very human evil of John Marcone. Now, I've been talking for a very long time, so I'm going to yield the floor to my friend and get a drink of water.
Oh, wait, I'm the friend. Jesus,
yeah, no,
I thought you'd brought some random into this courtroom.
No, we address each other, generally speaking, in court. I appreciate that it's your first time, but generally speaking, we address each other.
I've never been so insulted in my life. We're not in Parliament where, that's just bullshit.
Well, no, generally speaking, you would refer to the opposition as your learned friends, but I'm not saying that about you. I just kept the words went past my tongue.
The Brits really have some issues, don't they? So, a lot to unpack there.
I was slightly rambling, for which I do apologise.
Yeah, it's funny. I still feel you've not actually accused him of any particular crimes that he has committed. You talk a lot in abstract terms as to why he is a criminal and taking the easy path, but you've not really focused down on anything in particular. The one thing you have focused on is something that I like to refer to as the problem of the coin. And a problem it may well be, The coins are indeed powerful and indeed problematic. I'm going to say the word problem a lot, I feel. Almost as problematic as your pronunciation of the word Arcleone, in my opinion. It's disgusting.
It's a word from 2,000 years ago. You can pronounce it however the hell you want.
Yeah, so when Archangel Uriel comes along, I will, or Archangle even, I'll let him know. Yes, so the problem with the coin, yes, and it's hard to really come up with any case one way or another, in my opinion, because obviously we've not known about this for a particularly long time. Right, he's only just taken the coin as far as we know, although he's probably taken it up since the shenanigans on the island. I forget what book that is. Anyway,
sorry, I thought that sounds like evidence, and we know what I feel about evidence.
This is true. Sorry, I have to forget I'm speaking to a moron. But the problem with the coin, the thing that I would ask the jury to consider is, as my right honourable learned friend, maybe, I don't know how you say it.
I've just been promoted to Prime Minister. This is amazing.
I mean, I'll give you that. The country would probably be better off than it is now. For those who are listening in the far future, 2023 is a wild old time to be alive in the UK, let me tell you. Anyway, you've distracted me there. Yes, the thing I would urge people to consider is this issue of choice, and I think that is a really interesting thing to debate in great detail. Because choice is important. It's important in our lives. It's important in the lives of people in the Dresden Files. It's what separates the mortals from the not-so-mortal. He does pick up the coin, yes, and you are suggesting that that is somehow the easy path, which somehow highlights his character even more, in your opinion. Now, a certain Harry Dresden faces a very similar situation. Now, while he eventually chooses not to actually pick up the coin, he does ride shotgun with what is effectively a fallen angel for a very long time. And with the exception of him throwing hellfire about, he doesn't really abuse that power, or doesn't use that power as I'm sure the fallen angel necessarily intended it to be used. There is no evidence, your favourite word, that John Marcone has used the power of the Blackened Denarius for anything nefarious. As a matter of fact, the only time we ever see him use said power is to rid Chicago, rid the world, of an apocalyptic titan. I would argue that that's using a potent power for good. I'm going to let you rebut that, because I think we should dwell on this a little bit. I'm also running out of things to say. So
no, it's fair. I've meandered too much for you to be able to rationally debate my points, which I'm quite proud of.
We'll come back to the whole goals thing that you outlined in terms of Harry versus Marcone's goals, but let's talk a little bit about the coin.
Let's stick on the coin for a while.
For the Google AI that's listening, the problem of the coin should definitely be a highlight.
The problem of the coin, I think, is one of the most damning to the defence. Any attempt to suggest that employing directly the powers of a fallen angel for anything other than ultimately nefarious ends, I think, is doomed before it starts. The only being that we possibly know of who has used and put up a coin entirely is Sanya, the Knight of Hope. I believe, although I'm willing to be corrected on that. I don't count Harry Dresden because at no point did he use the power of the coin. I don't think the use of Hellfire counts. Not really. He uses the shadow. He doesn't use the fallen angel itself.
I guess there was I've forgotten his name, but the Roman guy. He technically could stand a coin.
He doesn't.
As does Nicodemus, but
but neither of those.
It doesn't really stick, does it?
Neither of those are done in good faith, and I think that's the distinction. So Sanya is the only person who, in good faith, puts it up, and Sanya is a singular individual. He wields the sword of hope, and is for a long time the sole knight of the cross. That's a 1 in a million person, as far as I'm one in a billion.
So your argument is that inherently the fallen angels that inhabit the coins, because they are pure evil, you cannot try to use their power for...
I think that any attempt to, over the long term, use their power is doomed to failure. That's the whole point of the Faustian bargain, right? You don't beat the devil. You don't win a Faustian bargain at any point.
Yeah, but it depends on the nature of the bargain, doesn't it?
No,
Really?
I don't think it does. I think that's the point.
There's
a really good example.
We have to essentially come up with what is the raison d'être for the coins? Like what? Because I guess we only ever really see them from the perspective of someone like Nicodemus, who clearly has some sort of grand strategy plan that even I can't defend as being anything but morally reprehensible. And then the other main camp is his wife, Tessa, who is just out for I don't even know what, but it's not good.
Armageddon. Fundamentally, Armageddon, I think, is the point of the coins. And
this is where I think the nature of Marcone's coin comes into play, right? Because Thorn and Namshiel, we certainly get glimpses that that's a particular fallen angel who has a perhaps separate agenda, or at least perhaps works with different circles to achieve something we don't yet know.
Yes, I think that of the Denarians, Namshiel is... Of the named Denarians, because there are meant to be 30 and we've seen about 8 on page. Of the named Denarians, I do think Thorn Namshiel is the most obscure that we've seen, the one with the most opaque motivations. But I don't think you can get past... The name
Thorn also kind of gives away some potential...
Potentially, yes.
Downstream something.
I do not think that you can get past the fact that Thorn Namshiel is a fallen angel. With that entails, bound into one of the 30 coins, paid to Judas Iscariot by the Romans for turning Christ over to them.
Yeah. Speed it up.
That's it. That's that. Like, those points matter. The symbolism matters.
No. Yes, but what matters ultimately is that John Marcone can only really be blamed for thinking that he might be able to go against the coin's nature, that he might be able to exert control. That is the only choice that he has made.
But the sheer hubris of that.
Yeah, but Harry Dresden considers it.
And
someone like
Sanya down.
Falls. He turns it down, yes, because Harry doesn't think he is strong enough. John Marcone, if there's anything we can say about John Marcone, is that he really believes in himself.
It's
more than any creature possibly we have met, with the exception of Mab.
It's true. It's true.
And I genuinely think that there is nothing so far to suggest that he has picked up the coin with nefarious end goals. And I maintain that he has probably done this to do what he's always done, which is protect his own territory.
I don't agree with that at all. I think you look at what the coin gives you. The coin gives you long life. It gives you power. Those are the two things that John Marcone receives from picking up the coin. Now, his goals may be laudable. I doubt it, but they may be. But that's not the point. The tools that we use to achieve our goals matter.
I'm going to have to call a witness into the stand.
Wait, what?
And you're going to like it.
I'm really confused. We're doing witnesses?
Well, I'm just going to get the witness to deliver a line.
Oh, you're reading a witness statement?
Yeah. Well, it's a character quote.
A witness.
Well, I don't actually know what it is. It's just a really good quote that I wanted to use. I'm not going to lie.
You're just about to quote Michael Carpenter.
I am about to hang up to quote Michael Carpenter, yes. So what Michael Carpenter says, it's one of the things that makes us different than they are, Harry. He's obviously speaking to Harry in this case, as you might have gathered from
Thanks for clearing that bit up, yeah.
The blood on their hands does not make it right to bloody my own. My choices are measured against my own soul, not against the stains on theirs. You put that into the situation that we're discussing. Marcone could have picked up the coin with an attempt to just do what he thinks is right, and using a tool that, yes, is stained, but it is not a reflection of his own self.
No,
he thinks that he can control what he is doing.
But what if he's wrong?
But what if we can't predict the future?
No, but
actually, a lot of wizards can, and no one's come in to kill Marcone yet. So there you go. That's a defense by not having been murdered by the White Council just yet. There you go.
That's a blinding sideswipe.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. That was great.
That's quite good. I do like that.
The defense rests.
The defense rests. Ebenezer McCoy.
If John Marcone is guilty, a wizard of the White Court will come in right now and kill him. Oh, look, he's still alive. Good. I win. Sorry, I derailed us there.
That's gone all over the place. Michael is right. The choices that we make define us. Right? The choices that we make are the only thing that weighs our own conscience. But the fact that so the only thing that John Marcone is guilty of is picking up and using a tool at the moment. But you have to take it in relation to the problem of the coin, because he's guilty of a whole manner of other, money laundering, solicitation, bribery and corruption, etc. Probably murder, drugs running, all of these things. That all goes without saying. I can't believe you're letting me get away with that. Goes without saying, but I'm going to take it.
I genuinely zoned out for a second.
In relation to the problem of the coin, the only thing that Marcone is currently guilty of is picking up and using a tool. Yes, true, agreed. But you have to look at the tool. You have to question, when the tool is something like a fallen angel, the motives of the tool. Right? And I don't see how you can look at the using of a fallen angel and striking a bargain with a fallen angel.
Oh, man.
Thorned Namshiel is teaching Marcone magic for a reason, and not think that it's an inherently corrupting influence. Power corrupts.
I'm so very close to saying guns don't kill people, people kill people. Oh, look, sure. I said it.
But there's a reason why you're not allowed to just walk down to Tesco and buy a gun in the UK.
No, quite.
Guns don't kill people, people kill people. But making it harder to kill people is a good thing. Don't really know why we're now debating gun control, but here we are.
No, and for the record, I think we are actually agreed on gun control. It's a very good thing.
It's one of the few things we agree on. Right, but even if we look at the problem of the coin and say that in picking up the coin of Thorn Namshiel and in using the coin of Thorn Namshiel, Marcone seeks to do nothing more than improve the greater good. Even if we accept that, and if we accept
it goes without saying.
It absolutely does not go without saying.
See, I tried it.
Even if we accept that premise, which I do not, the point stands that the road to hell, finish the quote, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I'll finish it for you because you won't play ball.
Why would the defense finish the prosecution's quote? Actually, I could have said anything I wanted there, really.
Yeah, I gave you a wild opportunity. The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Okay, now you've put Harry Dresden on trial.
No, I've got Marcone on trial. If I was putting...
Yeah, but if you're going to talk about good intentions, and yes, I'm whataboutism-ing hard now.
You are whatabouting hard, but...
That's a really hard word to say, isn't it? Whataboutism-ing...
Yeah, I mean, I'll let you make your whatabout case.
But no, but in the world in which we're dealing, which is the world of the Dresden Files, right, where supernatural threats are quite natural. I'm filibustering because I don't know how to finish my argument. I don't even remember how I started my argument. But no, it's a supernatural world in which a mortal man is trying to do something. And yes, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but surely the road to heaven is also paved with good intentions.
The road to heaven is paved with good action.
Oh, yeah, but what motivates action if not intention?
No, but the point is, good intention is not in and of itself.
No, adequate. I know, but I've said he's backed it up with action. He killed it. Well, he didn't kill Ethnia, but he allowed Harry to. But
you've got to weigh the good and the bad.
But what's the bad of him having picked up the coin? You've got zero proof of anything bad of him having picked up the coin.
No, not the coin. A coin is a tool. Like
liaising with a fallen angel. Yes, but I maintain this is just. him thinking that he has the upper hand because he's always had the upper hand in every business interaction he's had. And for Christ's sake, he's effectively a child, and he somehow manages to liaise with the likes of Mab and Odin. A fallen angel is probably child's play to him.
Imagine what he could do if he wasn't constantly doing the shitty thing. That's my whole point about Marcone.
But there is no
whole assertion. That if Marcone decided to be...
Okay, so we're gonna switch to this. Okay, yeah, go on.
If Marcone decided... Yeah, I'm parking the problem of the coin. Because
yeah, no, that's fair.
I just...
We're going to agree to disagree.
We're going to agree to disagree and leave that one to the jury. I feel like we're going to agree to disagree with all of them because that's the point. If the defense at any point goes, oh yeah, you're right, then I think I just win, and vice versa.
Vice versa. I like vice versa. Yeah, okay. Yeah. You have yourself a deal, maybe, that I can renege on.
Yeah, absolutely. You can concede a point without conceding the argument.
Yeah, go on. So we'll park the coin. No, I'm not going to park the coin. Sorry. One last thing. I think there is precedent in the books, right? That you can put down the coin once you've done it. Sanya has exemplified, but yes, a special being. But I would argue so is John Marcone. There is some sort of precedent that you could perhaps alter at least some part of the entity residing within it.
I think.
Let me finish. Sorry. Shut up and let me talk.
Sorry.
And I think I'm not saying that is right. I'm saying that there is precedent, and I'm saying that John Marcone probably knows that to an extent. He's very well informed. I wouldn't be surprised if he knows. Maybe Thorn and Namshiel told him about it. I don't know, but he probably knows that Harry had an interaction with Lashiel, and he will have seen him. He's a very astute individual. He will have seen that Harry was not, in fact, a Knight of the Blackened Daenerys. He exerted some sort of control over it. What he may not fully realize is that was not the coin itself, but just a mere imprint. But I'm just saying, I fully believe that John Marcone is the kind of individual who has seen that and thought, well, okay, if he can do it, I can do it. And with that, we can move on.
That's fair. I'll allow you to have the last word on that. While I try and remember.
You say that you're editing, so
that would be really funny. Just cut out the last 5 minutes.
Just cut me out altogether.
What was I? I've completely forgotten where I was going.
We were going to move on to. What were we going to move on to?
The uses to which John Marcone will put the coin.
Yeah, so I guess John Marcone's motivation, I guess, is
John
where we're
Marcone's
heading with this.
Motivation. That's where we're going.
The intention right. And the action, I guess.
The disconnect between the intention and the action. So, that's, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, because we've got to keep pretending that we're...
Bring back the other guy.
Bring back the other guy. Wait, what? No. The point that we must consider is the uses to which John Marcone could have otherwise put his prodigious abilities, his prodigious intellect, and his prodigious will. Rather than become a politician, become mayor of Chicago and seek to reform from the inside, he takes a failing city, seizes it in a moment of turmoil, and refuses to let go while bleeding it dry. These are not the actions of a good man.
Another interpretation of that is the man who sees that the system that would ordinarily have to step in to right the wrongs that we see is in fact inherently broken and corrupt, and for some reason full of people with guns in Chicago. I think that man logically assessed the situation and thought, I can do a better job of that. Not dissimilar, in fact, to a particular Harry Dresden, who could equally have also gone to the relevant authorities, but instead throws his lot in with the likes of the Winterfell. I don't want to do a comparison of Harry versus John, but what I'm saying is, and yes, we are on first name terms, what I'm saying is that, again, it comes back down to his own estimation of himself, which is an incredibly capable individual. And I think he has realized that the normal channel through which you would achieve things, be it politics or whatnot, are just as broken as everything else.
But I'm not...
And it's tedious, it's time-consuming, and it often doesn't do anywhere near as much good as the approach that he's taken.
I'm not talking about, as I think you might be, his interactions with the supernatural.
No, I'm talking about just Chicago. Yes, you could become a politician, and yes, you could improve funding in the police, and you could get rid of corruption, and then yes, you'd be 75 years old before you've done anything. What I think he is doing is saying, fuck all of that, I become the major crime lord in the city, and yes, hands get dirty, collateral damage is a thing. It is not a bad thing, always. It is a thing, however. And I think he has taken that into consideration. He's done the calculation, and he has said, this is by far the most expedient way with which to improve the lives of your average citizen in Chicago.
It's an empire built on misery and the destruction of lives.
But the only evidence you have for that is Harry Dresden's internal monologue.
No, that's not true. That's the evidence that I have for that is...
No, the evidence is that crime is, on balance, down when when Chicago was in the sort of criminal control, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
When John Marcone took over the organized crime syndicate, or the majority of it, crime demonstrably went down. Even Karen Murphy, a police officer at the time, said as much. That is direct evidence. What you're essentially suggesting is, yes, we should get rid of organized crime. And yeah, I'm not necessarily going to argue with that, right? In an ideal world, we would have no crime. But that's unfeasible.
Moving the harm underground doesn't negate the harm.
It's not moving the harm underground, it's reducing the harm.
No, that's where the assertion falls away. You're saying the harm is reduced because we can't see it, because it's not being recorded, because it's quieter, because it's nicer.
No, they're on balance. Fewer dead bodies.
He's still selling drugs on street corners. He's still running high-end brothels, which probably means he's still running low-end brothels where exploitation is happening. And he's looked at that. I'm not looking for a world in which... Well, I am looking for a world in which there is no organised crime, but that's not my point. My point is, and it's the same as the problem of the coin, you have to judge him by the tools he's using. And the tools that he uses at every juncture are ones that cause harm. And
that's demonstrably false.
Organised crime causes harm.
Demonstrably false.
I
will read you an excerpt, if I may.
No, I'm not going to... Organised crime causes harm. True or false?
Sure, yes.
Right. If you choose to use organised crime as your tool, I'll let you get to your quote in a minute. If you choose to use organised crime as your tool, you are choosing to use something as your tool that causes harm. No. It may be that the harm that you cause using organised crime is lesser than the harm caused by someone else using organised crime. That may be true. I'll park that for a moment. You're still using a tool that causes harm to achieve your ends. That is selfish.
No, it's not. It's using a known. As a known to the public. That, yes, organised crime has its drawbacks. But whereas, as I said, he could easily have become a politician, in which case you are just doing all the same things, but in an underhanded way.
What's your quote?
It's I don't know if I'm going to read the whole quote, but it's the scene in we should have prepped it better, in Death Masks, where Michael and Harry are once again being aided by our certain John Marcone, because Marcone has done nothing but help Harry in the books. And yes, he does at one point say, wouldn't it be easier to just finish these men? They're fanatics. If they wake up, they'll attack us without hesitation, armed or not. Very sensible suggestion to kill these people. Or whatever they are. I don't actually know what they are. It's a great case, this, isn't it? Fantastic.
Nailing it.
I'm really nailing it. And Harry says, we're not going to murder them in cold blood. And he says, is there a particular reason why not? Shut up, Marcone. Useful. They would show us no mercy, and if they are allowed to live, they will surely be used by the Denarians to cause pain and death. It is their purpose. That's actually really undermined a lot of what I said earlier. I should not have read that. We're not killing them, says Harry. Marcone's mouth curled into a bitter smile. How did I guess? He snapped open a case on his belt and tossed 2 sets of handcuffs at Sanya. Right? And then he said, I suppose we'll just have to take the chance that none of them will chew off his own hand at the wrist and slip free.
Yep.
So this is John Marcone electing to not kill people. What a hero.
Your point is there that he had to be convinced to not kill unarmed men. I don't think that quote helps you in the way that you think that it does.
What I'm saying is that he's clearly considered that there are multiple options, and what I'm saying is that he usually goes for the most pragmatic.
Yes, and
it's pragmatic.
The pragmatic
pragmatism
option.
Is king.
Pragmatism is not king.
Pragmatism is 100% king. The world would be a much better place if we were all pragmatic.
The world would not be a better place if we were all pragmatic. The world would be a better place if we all strove to be better people.
No, it wouldn't, because we'd have no fucking time left to actually do anything.
You fill your time with being a good person.
It's an active struggle, yes. That cannot come as a surprise to you.
I think we've hit upon our issue, ladies and gentlemen.
I really hope the ethics board isn't listening. No, what I'm saying is, and again, this comes down to a line of argument that we've attempted many times, right? Is that it's very hard for us to argue this because we live in a normal world. Yes, it is, and that's why I've tried very hard to condense my arguments to the real side of the conflict that Marcone deals with. I think if you open it up to the supernatural, it's easy to look at the choice between Marcone and the Fomor. But again, right? but you can kind of apply our daily struggles and the choices we make, right? Which are on the face of it pretty small scale. But I think and I'm sure that you're no exception, if I saw a friend in danger or a family member in danger or whatever, I would probably take quite drastic actions, like things that I would maybe not normally consider to do, right? That may even cross the bounds of not legality as such, because there's all self-defense and all that sort of nonsense. But you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm saying that if we were to operate in the same sort of scale, not even on the supernatural scale, but like citywide, whatever scale, you know, would we be a million miles away from John Marcone? Yeah, I grant you that, yes, the original choice to be in organized crime, perhaps, but it's really unclear as to the history surrounding that, I think. And his bet is sort of made when Amanda Beckett is shot. And I think that once that happens, it's very hard to turn back. I don't think it is at all. I think that's a reprehensible thing to... Sorry, no, that's... It's not... No, that's just... No, finish the sentence. No, You've started it now. Call me reprehensible. Because that was oratory rather than what I genuinely mean. I don't agree with that position. I think that Amanda Beckett getting hurt was the perfect time to step off, to look at your actions and go, whoa, shit, no. My God. The harm that I caused through my actions has been condensed into a single person, and I can look at that person and feel guilt for the harm that I caused. And Marcone does feel guilt. We know that he feels guilt for what happened to Amanda Beckett. Yeah, but my counter to that is I think that when you're faced with the option of I could probably do something by going to the authorities and the police, knowing full well that nothing's going to happen, or you genuinely back yourself enough to make a difference on your own, I'd be hard-pressed to not back myself. I find the hubris so difficult to get past. I think that's my but for that, unfortunately, we have to rely on Marcone's merits that we, because he has kind of made it, reprehensible or not. Like, he's a big player. He's an important player. He's done well. He is, but that's a shit argument because that's sort of using the future to justify the past. It's also ends justify means, and you're saying that his ends justify means. Yes, thank you. You've made my case for me. But you're also saying that the end of becoming a big deal is a sufficient end, which is interesting, and I'd actually like to use that. No, that's not what I said. You're putting words in my mouth there. I'm saying he is a big deal. I'm not saying that was his end goal. I'm saying his end goal was to make a difference. I think the He does it time and again. Why would he help Harry on all these occasions when it doesn't make a difference? There are times where he literally goes out of his way to save Harry from the corpse taker. There's no reason, right? At this point, Harry is not even his friend. He doesn't have to do anything. This guy would murder Harry Dresden flat out, and he just goes out of his way to do it because I think on balance he sees that Harry Dresden is a force for good in Chicago and in the world.
I think it's a long bet. I think that's
it's a long bet. Of course it is.
But it's not a long bet on Harry Dresden
I think trying to
good.
suggest. Okay, we're talking fully over each other now. You go.
It's not a long bet on Harry Dresden being a good force for Chicago. It's a long bet on Harry Dresden being a useful asset to have in your pocket. I think
it's one and the same thing. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know that's what you're saying, and I don't agree with you. I think that the steps that Marcone takes are steps to increase his own power. That is it. That is the end, I think.
I won't go as far as saying that's incidental, because I don't think that's true. I think it is the end, but I think it's an end that is not. It's the step on the road to the actual end. My goodness, that was a tortured sentence.
You're saying that the end that he is seeking requires him to have more power than he has.
Yes, that's
it's a necessary component of his end. It is not the end. I don't agree.
You should give this whole defense thing a go. You're not bad at it. You're certainly better at it than the prosecution.
You're making it easy to be better at it than you.
No, that's not what I said. Admittedly, I provided evidence against my own client, but
yes, I'm just going to skate past that out there. What the Knights of the Blackington Warriors do is exist to create mayhem.
Having Marcone say that the Knights of the Blackington Warriors are bad is shit. But I think my fucking aide is getting fired. They really should have checked this.
Yeah. Just want to cut that quote, I think. You want to do
100%. But I committed to the sentence. I was like, "Fuck."
There's little square brackets with the dots in it.
I know you're good for it. You'll edit that out for me, won't you?
Yeah, no worries. Don't worry about it.
Cheers. Yeah, thanks.
I just like to. It's really annoying because I have this quote that I very nearly slipped in. It is perfect, but then you rode back from your sentence, which is really annoying. But I'm just going to say it anyway because it's a nice quote. I'm going to wade on anyway. So this quote comes from the Tao Te Ching, and it reads, "There is no guilt greater than to sanction ambition, no calamity greater than to be discontented with one's lot, no fault greater than the wish to be getting. Therefore the sufficiency of contentment is an enduring and unchanging sufficiency." I think that is a damning indictment of John Marcone's character. Everything he does is seeking to improve his own ends. He is ambitious to a fault. And that is, as the quote says, there is no guilt greater than that.
You know that borrowed profundity is not as profound as it might appear.
Yeah, no, I know. I just like the quote.
I wrote here, when the Asian philosophy comes out, throw Lara in his face. And I think that's probably all I need to say about that.
It would be distracting, but I don't see how it's relevant.
Fair play. Now, the issue is, of course, that was written many, many years before Lara Wraith was in Asia. I was going to make some sort of, using the philosophy of the people who educated Lara Wraith, kind of thing.
Trying to drop the Tao Te Ching, which I'm fairly sure is Chinese, at Lara Wraith, who spent quite a lot of time in
the East,
in Japan.
Yeah, the borders were very fluid back then.
I don't think they were. I think the whole point.
There were many emperors. They may have forgotten what island they were on.
The whole point of that interaction between Harry and Lara is Harry going, "I thought it was really hard to get into Japan then," and Lara goes, "Yes, but have you seen me?"
Yeah, fair. See, that's why I wasn't going to use it, and then I did it anyway.
Yeah, but then you used it anyway, so I got to make you look silly.
So many great quotes I haven't had a chance to use, but I'm
really curious how you were going to use Byron.
Oh, that was going to be my closing statement of sorts.
Well, all right. I won't steal your thunder then. I think.
Admittedly, I'm reading one now. None of them. I think I just copied it because I thought it was nice. It doesn't actually have any bearing to anything.
That's sort of why I had that quote from the Tao. It's sort of I like that. But.
I think no. This is actually not a bad place to use that quote. So if I may, because I guess we should wrap up.
I was going to wrap up. So yeah, if you want to close.
It's just a quote, Jen. I think it's pretty clear that everyone that there is no easy solution, even just in one trial. It's probably why trials don't just take an hour,
generally speaking.
So perhaps we will keep on. Maybe we'll turn this into like an episodic. The trial of John Marcone continues.
We're not doing John Marcone again, but we could do other trials. I think, and we would. Well, having done this one, I think we could probably do other ones better.
Yeah, let us know if you want more of these episodes. It's been fun to record. I think
it has. Our structure disappeared.
Our structure disappeared quite significantly, but we can work on that. But yeah, I'm sure Marcone will be a topic in future episodes on the Dresden Files, regardless. Once Jim Butcher finishes the books, anyway. But I will end on a quote by Lord Byron, of course, which I think is very appropriate with given that what we've discussed. He knew himself a villain, but he deemed the rest no better than the thing he seemed, and scorned the best as hypocrites who hid those deeds the bolder spirit plainly did. He knew himself detested, but he knew the hearts that loathed him, crouched and dreaded too. Lone, wild, and strange, he stood alike exempt from all affection and from all contempt.
That's a good quote.
You sound a bit teary-eyed there.
No, I'm not. I just
feel like you're about to say, like, yeah, John Marcone's a hero.
Yeah, he's such a nice guy.
He's so great.
I don't have an equivalently profound quote. I should really have saved the towel for my closing rather than just shoehorning it in where it wasn't appropriate.
Well, I win. There you go. You heard it here. You ran out of quotes.
John ran out of quotes. I mean, I could do Derek Parfit if you like. It just doesn't really...
No, please. Actually, no, please.
Doesn't really fit. I think my case remains as it always has been. John Marcone is a waste of human potential. He's a man who could do great. He's a man who could be the very best of humanity if he would only choose to do so. And at every juncture, at every opportunity, when presented with opportunities to be good or to choose the easy path, he chooses the easy path. He picks up the coin. He leads criminal organizations. He murders. He kills. He steals. He infects. He poisons. That is John Marcone.
Real wasted opportunity to use Dumbledore's quote there.
I know. I didn't want to because
Gandalf one time.
I didn't want to because you'd have waded in and go, oh, it's a great quote from Gandalf.
Let it be known to the court and the jury that the prosecution does in fact consist of a man who once mistook Gandalf for Dumbledore. You know what? I think we should wrap it up because I'm just going to make my own case worse here.
Yeah, I was going to say the defense apparently consists of a man who thinks mistaked is a word. Mistaked. But anyway.
I'm foreign. What's your excuse?
Tired.
Yeah, it's fair.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Expertise is Overrated. No doubt, we've again said some things that were either objectively wrong or downright offensive. As ever, feel free to let us know. Rate the podcast and leave us a comment, or drop us an email at expertiseisoverrated@gmail.com, tweet us at @zeroexpertise, check out our website, expertiseisoverrated.podbean.com, or come join us on our Discord server.
If you're lucky, we might just argue with you in one of our upcoming episodes, and if you're really lucky, we might call you an idiot. Come back next time for some more absolute nonsense.